he heard a soft whisper, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, calling his name. Basi! Basi! He looked around, trying to find the source of the voice, but there was nothing but shadows and mist. The voice grew louder, more insistent, and Basi felt a tug at his heart, a pull that seemed to draw him deeper into the valley. Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to our enchanting tale. I'm so glad to have you here with us again as we continue to follow Basi on his incredible journey. Last time, we saw young Basi, who, driven by a deep love for his mother and a desire to change his own fate, ventured into the depths of the mysterious forest. There, he encountered Sani, the legendary serpent, and made a deal that brought him wealth but at a great personal cost. Each gold coin he took aged him another year. By the time he reached the heart of the forest to reverse the curse, Basi found himself looking much older than his years, with a heavy heart full of regrets, but also newfound wisdom. As he returned to his village, believing his trials were behind him, a shadowy figure emerged from the forest, hinting that Basi's journey is far from over. So, what lies ahead for Basi? Will he find a way to reclaim his lost youth and restore balance to his life? Let's find out together. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Now, let's dive back into the story and see where this next chapter takes us. As Basi stood at the edge of the forest, he felt the chilling presence of the dark figure, its glowing eyes piercing through the night. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with a strange sense of recognition. The figure stepped forward, its cloak rustling like leaves in the wind. "You have passed the forest's trials," the figure began, its voice a deep, resonant whisper. "But the heart of the forest's awakening has stirred forces much older and more powerful than you know. To protect Moyo, you must journey beyond these woods." Basi's eyes widened. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice steady, despite the dread creeping into his bones. "Why do you speak in riddles?" The figure paused, then pulled back its hood, revealing a face that seemed both young and old, eyes deep and wise. "I am a guardian of the old ways, a keeper of balance. Your actions have restored harmony here, but there are places beyond this forest where darkness still reigns. If you are truly the leader you aspire to be, you will face what lies ahead." Basi felt the weight of the figure's words settle on his shoulders. The serpent's curse had taken his youth, but the trials had granted him a new kind of strength. He was no longer the boy who had stumbled upon Sani in a desperate search for gold. He was a man of 40, aged beyond his years, but filled with a resolve forged in the fires of hardship. "I will go," Basi said, his voice firm. "For my people, for Moyo, I will face whatever comes next." The figure nodded. "Then follow me. The path is long, and time is short." And with that, the dark figure turned and disappeared into the shadows of the forest, leaving Basi to take a deep breath and step into the unknown once more. Basi followed the dark figure deeper into the forest, the trees growing denser, their branches twisting together to form a canopy that blocked out the moonlight. The air grew colder, the whispers of the forest now replaced by an eerie silence. Basi felt the presence of unseen eyes watching him, the weight of the dark figure's warning heavy in his mind. "Where are you taking me?" Basi asked, his voice breaking the silence. The figure glanced back, its face still hidden in shadow. "To a place forgotten by time, where the serpent's curse began. There you will find the answers you seek, but be warned, the journey will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine." Basi nodded, his resolve firm. He thought of his mother, of his people in Moyo. He had already sacrificed so much. He could not turn back now. They walked for hours, the path winding through dense thickets and over rocky terrain, until they reached a narrow pass between two towering cliffs. "This is the forgotten path," the figure said, stopping at the entrance. "Few who enter ever return. Beyond lies a valley untouched by light, where shadows rule and the serpent's power is strongest." Basi stared into the darkness of the path, his heart pounding. He had faced many trials in the forest, but this felt different, deeper, more dangerous. Still, he took a step forward, and then another until he was walking into the shadows, his breath steady, his mind focused on the task ahead. As he ventured deeper, the path seemed to close in around him, the air growing thicker, the silence almost deafening. Basi could feel the weight of his 40 years bearing down on him, his body tired and weary. He knew he could not afford to slow down, not with so much at stake. Emerging from the pass, Basi found himself at the edge of a vast valley, shrouded in darkness. The air was heavy with a cold mist that clung to his skin, and the ground beneath his feet was uneven, covered in thick roots that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. "This is the Valley of Shadows," the dark figure said, standing beside him. "The serpent's influence is strongest here. The trials you faced in the forest were but a preparation for what lies ahead. In this valley, you will face your greatest fears, your deepest regrets." Basi felt a chill run down his spine, but he stood tall, his resolve unwavering. "I have come this far," he said. "I will face whatever this valley has in store." The figure nodded. "Then step forward, Basi, and let the valley reveal itself to you." As Basi took his first step into the valley, the mist swirled around him, and he felt a strange energy course through his body. The ground beneath his feet seemed to shift, the roots writhing and twisting like serpents. He heard a soft whisper, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, calling his name. "Basi! Basi!" He looked around, trying to find the source of the voice, but there was nothing but shadows and mist. The voice grew louder, more insistent, and Basi felt a tug at his heart, a pull that seemed to draw him deeper into the valley. "Face your fears, Basi," the dark figure whispered. "Only then can you hope to find the answers you seek." Basi took a deep breath and stepped forward, the mist closing in around him. He could feel the weight of his 40 years pressing down on him, the weariness in his bones. But he pushed on, determined to find the truth, no matter what it cost him. As Basi ventured deeper into the valley, the mist began to clear, revealing a vast, dark cave at the valley's centre. The entrance was jagged and wide, like the open mouth of a great beast. From within, Basi could hear a faint, rhythmic sound, like the beating of a giant heart. "This is the Serpent's lair," the figure said, stopping at the cave's entrance. "Within lies the source of the serpent's power. To break the curse and reclaim your lost years, you must enter and confront Sani once more." Basi nodded, his face set with determination. He knew that this was the moment he had been preparing for, the final confrontation with the creature that had cost him his youth. He took a step forward, then another, until he was standing at the cave's mouth. Inside, the air was thick and humid, the walls slick with moisture. The rhythmic beating grew louder, echoing off the cave walls. Basi felt his heart begin to race, his breath coming in short, sharp gasps. He knew he could not afford to be afraid. He had to remain strong, for himself and for his village. He moved deeper into the cave, his footsteps echoing in the darkness. The beating grew louder, more intense, until it seemed to fill his entire being. Then, suddenly, he was there, in a vast chamber at the heart of the cave where Sani lay coiled around a great glowing stone. "Welcome, Basi," Sani hissed, its eyes glowing in the darkness. "You have returned to me as I knew you would." Basi took a deep breath, his hands clenching into fists. "I have come to end this," he said, his voice steady, "to break the curse and reclaim my years." Sani laughed, a low, rumbling sound that echoed through the chamber. "You cannot break what you do not understand, Basi. To end the curse, you must understand its purpose. And to understand, you must listen." Sani uncoiled, revealing its full length, its scales shimmering in the dim light of the glowing stone. "The curse was not a punishment, Basi," Sani said, its voice softer now, almost gentle. It was a test, a lesson in the value of time and the weight of choices. Basi frowned, his brow furrowing. "A test?" he asked. "What do you mean?" Sani nodded. "You sought gold to save your village, to heal your mother. But gold is only a symbol, a means to an end. The true cost was not in the coins, but in the years you traded away. Time is the most precious thing we have, Basi, and you gave it away so easily." Basi felt a pang of guilt in his chest. He had been so focused on the gold, on the material wealth he could bring to his village, that he had not considered the deeper implications of his actions. "I understand," he said softly. "I see now that I was foolish, that I did not truly value what I was giving away." Sani nodded again. "And now you have learned. But understanding is only the first step. To break the curse, you must choose to embrace your years, to accept the life you have lived and the choices you have made. Only then can you reclaim what you have lost." Basi took a deep breath, his mind racing. He thought of his mother, of his village, of all the people he had helped, and all the sacrifices he had made. He had lost so much, but he had gained so much as well: wisdom, experience, strength. "I accept," he said finally, his voice steady. "I accept my years, my choices. I embrace the life I have lived." Sani nodded one last time. "Then you are free, Basi. The curse is broken." As Sani spoke, the glowing stone began to pulse with light, filling the chamber with a warm, golden glow. Basi felt a strange sensation coursing through his body, a tingling, a warmth, a feeling of lightness. He closed his eyes, letting the sensation wash over him. When he opened his eyes again, he felt different. His skin was smoother, his hair darker, the lines on his face less pronounced. He was younger, but not the boy he had once been. He was a man of 40, with the strength of his youth and the wisdom of his years. "You have reclaimed your years, Basi," Sani said softly. "But remember, time is a precious gift. Use it wisely." Basi nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and understanding. He had been given a second chance, a chance to live his life anew, to use his time for good, to lead his village with wisdom and compassion. "Thank you, Sani," he said. "I will not waste this gift." And with that, he turned and left the cave, stepping back into the Valley of Shadows with a renewed sense of purpose and resolve. Basi made his way back through the valley, the mist parting before him, as if acknowledging his newfound understanding. The path seemed clearer now, the shadows less daunting. He felt lighter, stronger, his steps filled with a confidence he had not felt in years. As he emerged from the valley, he saw the dark figure waiting for him at the entrance to the forgotten path. "You have done well, Basi," the figure said, its voice warm. "But your journey is not yet over. There are still challenges ahead, still lessons to learn." Basi nodded, his face calm and resolute. "I understand," he said, "but I am ready. Whatever lies ahead, I will face it with courage and wisdom." The figure smiled, a faint, knowing smile. "Then go, Basi. Return to your village and share what you have learned. And remember, the path to true wisdom is never truly complete. Basi turned and began the long journey back to Moyo, his heart filled with hope and determination. He had faced his fears, learned his lessons, reclaimed his years. Now it was time to share his wisdom with his people and lead them into a brighter, more harmonious future. When Basi returned to Moyo, the village was alive with activity. Children played in the streets, women prepared meals over open fires, men worked in the fields. The village had thrived in his absence, but there was still much work to be done. Basi was greeted with cheers and applause as he entered the village square. His mother, her face bright with joy and relief, rushed to embrace him. "Basi," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I was so worried. I thought I had lost you." Basi hugged her tightly, feeling the warmth of her love and the strength of her spirit. "I am here, Mother," he said softly, "and I am not going anywhere." He turned to the villagers, raising his voice to address them. "I have returned," he said, "and I bring with me the wisdom of the forest, the knowledge of the serpent, and a promise to lead this village into a new era of prosperity and harmony." The villagers cheered, their faces filled with hope and excitement. Basi smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose. He had faced his fears, learned his lessons, reclaimed his years. Now it was time to use what he had learned to build a better future for his people. Under Basi's leadership, the village of Moyo began to thrive like never before. They planted new crops, built new homes, and developed new practices that respected the balance of nature and the wisdom of the old ways. Basi taught them to cherish their time, to use their resources wisely, and to always strive for harmony and balance. The village prospered, and Basi's story became a legend, a tale of wisdom and sacrifice passed down through generations. And though he knew there were still challenges ahead, Basi faced them with courage and wisdom, confident in his ability to lead his people through whatever lay ahead. As the sun set on another day in Moyo, Basi stood at the edge of the village, looking out over the forest. He knew that there were still mysteries to be uncovered, still lessons to be learned. But he was ready. He had faced the serpent, reclaimed his years, and found his purpose. And so, with a heart full of hope and a spirit unbroken, Basi turned back to his village, ready to embrace whatever the future might bring. As the villagers celebrated their newfound prosperity, a strange chill swept through the village square. Basi felt it first, a cold shiver that ran down his spine. He turned toward the forest, his eyes narrowing. From the shadows of the trees, he saw movement. A dark figure stepping forward, its eyes glowing with a mysterious light. "You may have reclaimed your years, Basi," the figure said, its voice echoing across the square. "But there are forces beyond your understanding. Your journey is far from over." Basi felt a surge of fear and excitement. He knew this was just the beginning of a much larger adventure. Thank you so much for joining us on this next leg of Basi's journey. It's been quite the adventure so far, hasn't it? As we close this chapter, I'm curious. What do you think will happen next? Will Basi find a way to reclaim the youth he lost, or are even greater challenges waiting for him beyond the horizon? I'd love to hear your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. And if you're enjoying the story, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the next part of the tale. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to continue this journey with you. Until next time, stay curious and keep the spirit of adventure alive.